All right, Jeff Rising here, and thanks again for listening to my podcast. This is going to be episode number 13, From Broke Agent to Broker Owner. So, and read that however you want, right? But seriously, folks, all kidding aside, I wouldn't go back and change anything. I love being a broker owner. I love coaching my agents to success. But I didn't really start out that well. I got my license in 2001. So let me go back to the beginning. Let me back it up. So I was, I think I was about 13 years old, and my parents bought a house. My mom and my stepdad bought a house, and the second or third one we moved to. But by then I was finally figuring things out. And I said, so hold on a second. So this lady helps people find homes, and she sells them homes, does the contracts, negotiates, all that stuff. And that's what she gets paid for. And they're like, yeah, great. How much does she get paid? Well, they're like, I don't know. I think, like 7% of whatever the sales price is, if it's her listing, or half of that. So I kind of did the math in my head, and at the time it was, this is the 1980s, so it wasn't like a $300,000 house. It was 40, 50, 60, somewhere in there. I don't even remember, honestly. But anyway, in my head, I did my calculations. It's a couple $1,000s. Like, it's awesome. She made a couple. I was 13 years old. That was a lot of money, right? $1,500, $2,000. And it was for 1988 or whatever it was. So beyond the actual income potential, I kind of really felt that helping people, the whole concept of home was kind of foreign to me. I mean, we moved around a lot, not a whole lot. Now, I know a lot of people had it worse. So when I talk about my life, please don't think I'm whining or complaining. I know a lot of people have had it harder than I had. I had a relatively average, good upbringing, middle-class family, so nothing crazy. But we moved around every couple of years, until I was 13. Then we stayed in that house through my high school years. But just the concept of home and what that meant to people, and being able to help people find their home, was really interesting to me. So I was a teenager, and fast forward the years through my life, and I talked about some of that in one of my other episodes. Became a father at 17 and went straight to working in factories out of high school. So by the time I was 26, I was just kind of done with that. I was, not doing this factory gig anymore. And I had thought, hey, what can I do to make a good income that doesn't require going to college? Because by this time I was 26, so not that going to college was off the table. I know some people say going back to school. I couldn't go back to anything. I never went in the first place, right, to college. So I said, well, in real estate, it had always been kind of top of mind for a few years leading up to that. So I checked it out. In the state of Michigan, you take a 40-hour class, go get your real estate license, or go take your state exam, pass your test, boom, you got your real estate license, and that's it. So I did that in 2001, and so I was 27, I guess, 27 when I got my real estate license, and went to go work for a company. And back then it was kind of like, so this is pre-Zillow, pre-Realtor.com, pre-social media. A lot of people are out there killing it right now on Facebook and Instagram, getting business. It's awesome. But, I didn't have that in 2001. I had the phone book, the newspaper, open houses, and your sphere of influence, and floor calls, which everyone knows what a floor call is that's in the business. You sit here at the office on a 4-hour shift or a 2-hour shift, or however they have it set up, and you wait for the phone to ring or someone to walk in and say, hey, I want to buy a house, or I have a house I want to sell, right? So those were really the options back then: floor time, open houses, sphere of influence, run newspaper ads, whatever. So I absolutely sucked at selling real estate. I mean, I was young, didn't have a large sphere of influence. Everyone my own age at the time weren't buying houses. You might know that I'm 47 now, so I'm from Generation X. The Gen Xers didn't really buy homes until their late 20s, early 30s, if at all. And so I didn't really have a sphere of influence to lean on to say, hey guys, you want to buy a house? I'm over here trying to sell some houses. You need some help? So I think my first year in 2001, so I got my license probably halfway through the year. I think it was, June or July. So might have sold 1 or 2 houses in 2007 or 2001 off of floor calls, and that was probably about it. So I was so terrible at it, and I had zero pipeline. I didn't have a pipeline that there was nothing even good on the horizon for me towards the end of 2001. So I went to my broker. I was working at GNC during the day, bartending at night a few nights a week, and then working my real estate business whenever I could fit that in there in between, right? So I went to my broker at the time and said, you know what, I'm not doing real well at this, and I don't feel like I can gain any traction in the real estate business. I'm still working these other part-time jobs. So do you have anything for me that I can work as your assistant? I'll go put signs up, I'll put lock boxes on, I'll do all the paperwork, I'll take pictures, whatever. So I said, sure, you can work as my assistant, you know, $12 an hour. And, you know, I'll give you some buyer leads here and there, whatever. And so back then, you know, it was pretty common in the real estate industry in the early 2000s that 50-50 split. That's what you got with your broker. Doesn't matter what services they provided, if they gave you training or not, you got 50-50, and that was just the way it was. And that's just what everybody accepted back then, here in my local market anyway. So I did that, and kind of was doing all the paperwork, and I was reading the newspaper one day, and we have a small local newspaper that still posts the foreclosure filings. I know most newspapers do, but they're buried somewhere. But you know, we have a very small newspaper, so on page 4, here's all the foreclosure filings. So I would always read the Sunday paper just to look through it. I kept noting, and they were always in the Sunday newspaper. I saw that section of the newspaper getting bigger every week. Like, man, this was 2001. Like, these foreclosure filings just keep getting more and more. And so I recognized one that I knew that my broker knew the guy through business. You know, he was a builder or something like that. And he said, well, I'm gonna reach out to him, see what's up. And I said, well, hey, just so you know, I kind of noticed, you know, it seems like every week there's more and more of these foreclosure filings in the legal notices section. Maybe we should reach out to Fannie Mae and see if, or reach out to these people and see if there's a way that we can, you know, get these houses sold for them before they get foreclosed on. Because this is early 2000s, man. Everybody had equity, right? You know, prices were still going up at that time. And he looked at me and said, well, I think a better idea would be, why don't you try to get in touch with Fannie Mae and see how we can get these listings once they become foreclosures. So I said, well, I guess that's one way to look at it, right? So my solution was, let's help the people before they get foreclosed on. His solution was, let's wait till they get foreclosed on and get some of these listings from Fannie Mae. So that's what I did. I found a contact at Fannie Mae. I said, hey, how do we get on your list to get these foreclosure listings once you list them? So they sent us the paperwork, we filled it out, and we started doing what's called BPOs, broker price opinions. Every time they had one on their radar, they said, hey, I think this person's getting foreclosed on. We started foreclosure proceedings. Please do a broker price opinion, see how much it's worth, and drive by and see if they're still living in the house. So that's kind of the start of the foreclosure business. This was, you know, early 2002, way before the crash actually happened that everybody talks about, right? So I actually had started doing that I had a buyer lead that he gave me, and I closed that first buyer lead, and I noticed my commission check seemed about half of what it should have been. So I said, what's going on here? I only got like, you know, X amount of dollars on this. She's like, yeah, like you're on 50-50 with me as you know, my assistant, and I'm on 50-50 with the company, so you get basically 25%. Well, that's bullshit. So I started looking around for different options. Like, well, I'm not making crap, and as far as my hourly rate for the work I'm doing, and then also I just got screwed out of half of my commission. So at the time I was living in a city that was kind of halfway between Adrian and Ann Arbor, Michigan. So I said, well, it's same drive for me from there to Adrian, from home to Ann Arbor. So I called up Keller Williams Realty in Ann Arbor. Found a great guy named Brian Craig, was looking for a buyer's agent, still friends with Brian today. Hi, Brian, if you're listening. And he hired me as his buyer's agent, and I did a little bit better. It was a Keller Williams franchise. They offered some training. I got some of the training I wanted. I bought the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and read it for the first time back in 2002. And he was giving me some buyer leads because he did a lot of listings. And so I did better, you know, too. I started doing better, but I kind of felt out of my league. I was working in a market to where, you know, grew up in a small farmhouse in Sand Creek, Michigan. And now I'm just up here 27, 28 years old, showing $500,000 houses to people, pulling up in my 2-door piece of crap Chevy Cavalier. And they're looking at me like, who the hell's this kid showing up to sell us this house, right? Like, you know, they didn't give me any respect, or at least I thought they didn't. They might have. Maybe they did. Maybe they looked at me and said, hey, this kid's hustling. He's out here trying to sell some houses. But got inside my own head, say, I suck. I'm out of my league. I'm showing these $500,000 houses that I know nothing about subdivisions, know nothing about HOAs, know nothing about any of this stuff. And so that getting inside my own head and all that negative self-talk just kind of got me back to where I started sucking at selling real estate again. I was doing terrible. I did maybe 6 or 8 transactions with him in 6 months or 8 months, but after that I just kind of went in a downward spiral. So I quit. I actually quit the real estate business in 2003, went back and got a factory job for the summer of 2003, and then quickly realized why I stopped working in factories after I worked back in that factory again for a few months. And so I called up, tucked my tail between my legs, and I called back my other old broker that I first worked for and said, hey, I'm moving back to Adrian, and I want to work in Adrian. I quit real estate, but I realized I really want to sell real estate. So what do you got going on? Do you have anybody down there that needs a buyer's agent? And he said, hey, guess what? That foreclosures thing we started together, got like 50 listings now, and we're doing a dozen BPOs a week. I'm getting dozens of new listings on our radar every week. So he came back and he said, oh, by the way, we started a mortgage company here too. You could come back. He can help you with the foreclosure stuff with your real estate license, and just for some extra money, you could do some loan origination on the side. Which it was a terrible idea. Again, I didn't know how to do loan origination, and this was 2003, the era of no income, no asset. We're going to give everybody a loan with a pulse kind of thing. So I was just pumping out loans like crazy, right, to people who didn't deserve them, who didn't financially deserve them. Not that they didn't deserve to buy a house, but they were not financially fit to buy a home. So we did a lot of that, and also so we were kind of doing a little bit of everything back then. After about a year, we stopped doing the mortgage business because I was like, I'm not good at this. I got 0 training. I'm doing the best I can, but I'm just really not good at this. So let's stick with the foreclosure stuff. He said, fine. So the next 2 years, 2004, 5, 6, or 3 years, all I did was sit in an office all day, did broker price opinions, all the foreclosure listings, and I was back to working inside of a box all day. So I traded the 4 walls of a factory for the 4 walls of an office. So I was still sitting there thinking, again, I didn't get into real estate to sit in here and do paperwork all day. I got into real estate because I wanted to help people buy and sell homes. Went to my broker in 2007 or end of 2006, early 2007. Said, hey, you know what? I really want to get my license back active and start showing and selling homes. Since you got all these listings, I want to work with the buyers that call on those, and I want to make money doing that. And he said, no. He's like, no, we like you in the office doing the broker price opinion. That's what feeds the business. We really need you there. We need you doing the BPOs. So I said, screw it, I'm out. Went to go work at another brokerage and started building my own foreclosure database as far as asset management companies and banks we were going to work with, contacted them all. And I kind of found a foreclosure hack at the time. So a lot of people thought that you had, since they called them broker price opinions, you had to be a broker to do them. Right? You had to be a broker to get foreclosure listings from banks, and that wasn't the case. I was sitting there looking at our listing contract one day, and remember, my real estate class, and remember that even if a licensed salesperson gets a listing, the brokerage owns the listing. It is the broker's listing. The broker's the one who owns the listing. You're the assigned salesperson on that listing. So I thought, well, if I get a foreclosure listing, it's not my listing, it's always the broker's listing, so why can't I as a salesperson go out there and get foreclosure business? So I talked to some of these banks and these asset management companies. I said, hey, I'm not a broker, I'm a licensed salesperson. Can I still get listings from your company? And they said, yeah, like the listing contract belongs to the brokerage. It doesn't matter if the broker listed or you listed. Ultimately the brokerage is responsible for any listing that you get. So it's a bonus. Right, so 2007, I started building my foreclosure backlog. Every time they would get a foreclosure assignment, someone would default. They said, hey, go over there to 123 Mulberry Street. Joe Smith is behind on his payment. We started foreclosure proceedings. Put this on your radar. Go do a BPO. Go do an occupancy check. So 2007, I only sold 4 houses that year from floor calls, but I built up my foreclosure inventory backlog. So it all kind of came rushing all at once in 2008, and I sold 80 houses in 2008. So I went from totally sucking to selling real estate, probably sold a whole total of a dozen houses in my whole real estate career up until then, and 4 houses in 2007 to sold 80 houses in 2008. All listing sides, all foreclosure listings. I don't think I even worked with a single buyer that year. I just was doing listings only for banks. So that was kind of a big change, right? I go from 0 to 80 literally in 1 year. So So really, the point I wanted to make with this episode was just persistence and stubbornness and sticking to what you want to do. Like, I knew that I wanted to sell real estate. I knew that was my thing. I knew the concept of it, the whole of the being lucrative part of it. Let's be real here for a second. People get into real estate because they want to make a shitload of money, right? So let's not do I love helping people buy and sell homes. Like, I do love helping people buy and sell homes, but let's talk about the real thing. The real thing is I can work 40 or 50 hours a week and make a lot of money and not have a college degree and still be able to do that. So that was my ultimate goal was, yes, the emotional, spiritual, rewarding side is there. I love helping first-time buyers, handing them their keys. I love helping people that have a problem like, hey, I've got to sell my house and my job's relocating me to California. Got to sell my house in 3 months. I love helping people with those kind of problems. The first-time buyers are the best. They just got out of their renting. They're buying their first house. It's very exciting. The emotional part, the spiritual part is there. It's very rewarding. But this cut to the brass tacks here. Like, people get into real estate because it's lucrative, right? They want to make a lot of money. So I stuck with it. So it took me 7 years. 7 years from when I got my license to when I actually made some money in the real estate business. So that's why this one's called From Broke Agent to Broker Owner, because I literally was broke. And one of the reasons I ended up finally opening up my own brokerage was I would watch the broker that I worked for when I decided to open up my own brokerage, but every broker I worked for up until then, they would not spend any time at all coaching or training or mentoring their agents. Like, hey, you got your license, good luck. Go jump on YouTube or whatever, look up some training videos or whatever. So that's why the real estate coaching industry is so huge, because most broker owners simply don't care about how much their agents produce. They just want to collect agent count. They want to brag like, oh, I've got 30 agents, I've got 20 agents, I got 40 agents working for me. Great, how many homes are they selling? Your agents are freaking broke, man. You're the only one making any money because you have 40 agents that are all selling 5 houses a year. So you're making money off of their commission split, but they're broke as hell, right? So when I opened up my own brokerage, I was committed with the one goal of I want to create an office environment, a productive office environment where people can come work and they can sell 20, 30, 40, 50 houses a year in a 40-hour work week and still have quality of life for their friends and family, right? That's what my goal was, and luckily I've created that. We've been open for 7 years now. My average transaction per agent here is 34 transactions per agent. I've got some that sell 20, I've got some that sell 70, right? So ultimately that was really the reason why I opened up my own brokerage and eventually got into real estate coaching. It's like, hey, if I can do this for the 7 or 8 agents that work for me, what can I do on a bigger scale if I can get out there and coach other people around the country? Because the basics of real estate are the same no matter where you're at, right? Real estate laws are different. Your average sales price for your market is different, but ultimately the basics of real estate are consistent throughout the industry, no matter where you're at, whether you're, what state you're in America, if you're in a different country. Everything as far as the basics of sales in real estate is the same. So I wanted to take what I've learned in my 20 years in the business, and most importantly, all the dumb shit I did in my 20 years in the business, wasting money, buying every damn lead program possible, right? Doing every stupid advertising thing possible over the 20 years. And so I could teach people that, hey, if you just do the basics in this business, you can make a lot of money, right? Be nice, call people back. Boom, mic drop. I'm not gonna drop my mic because I don't want to break it, but that's really it, man. You don't know how many times myself or my agents talked to somebody that came through Zillow or Realtor.com and they're like, man, I clicked on this contact agent thing like 5 times over the last 2 weeks and you're the first agent to call me. What? I'm the first one to call you after you've tried calling 5 other agents? Or they'll be like, yeah, I called so-and-so a couple times, left voicemails, they haven't called me back. Oh, great, when did you call them? Oh, like 3 days ago. Seriously? So I wanted to raise the bar in the real estate industry as far as what the client and the consumer should expect from their realtor, right? From their real estate agent. Like, be nice, be professional, call people back, and you will be killing it out there in the real estate industry. It's not that hard, people. So really, just that's basically where I came from. I absolutely sucked at selling real estate. I stuck with it. I was persistent. I found something that worked for me. I.e. getting into the foreclosure business in 2008. I don't do any foreclosure listings now, by the way, so that I right around 2011, my foreclosure inventory started to dry up as the market started to recover. Like all the foreclosure inventory in Michigan and nationwide kind of started to burn off over that 3 or 4 year period where it was pretty shitty. And I was like, well, I used to get all foreclosure listings. Now I used to get 10 foreclosure listings a month. Now I'm only getting 6. Now I'm only getting 5. Oh crap, what do? I just put all of my eggs in the foreclosure listing basket with banks. Now I don't know what to do. So that's 2010 is when I started my Facebook business page, started rebranding myself as, to get regular real estate listings from people. And so I started, a Facebook business page back in 2010, started growing that slowly, and, kind of just took that shift over the next couple of years to shift from being a foreclosure listing agent to just a regular real estate agent, right? So, so it is possible to rebrand yourself and recognize the market. When the foreclosure crash happened here in my local market, there were about 300 agents in our board of realtors. After the crash, we had about 140, 130. So over half the people left the real estate industry when it got hard. So and that happens every time the market gets hard. When the market's great, everybody gets the real estate license. When the market gets hard, half the people leave. And that's the truth. That's the hard truth of it. So it's important actually to work with. That's the good thing about my agents that get knowledge from me is we know how to shift when the market shifts, because the market will shift again. It's not going to crash again. Everyone stop. The market's not going to crash like it did in 08. But the market will change, right? The market's going to change from a seller's market to a balanced market to a buyer's market at some point. We know it is. So the important thing is to work with a coach or work with a broker that knows how to handle those things, because like I said, I got licensed in 2001. Market was awesome then, even though I sucked at selling real estate. Went through the crash. I thrived during the crash, and now I'm thriving now post-crash, and then this current crazy market we're in 2020, 2021. So really, that's it, man. If you are in the real estate business and you're struggling and you need some advice, feel free to reach out to me here. Excuse me. It's really hot in this front window here in my office. Got the sun beaming in here. So it's hot and dry right now. So that's really it, man. If you are in the real estate industry, if you're thinking of getting in the real estate industry, just whether you're listening to this in my market, you want to come talk to me, or if you just want some advice in general, if you live in a different state where you can't work for me, I would love to jump on a call with you and talk to you about it, because it's important to pick a broker that's going to take an actively participate in your success, right? Yes, most real estate broker owners go out, still list and sell because they have to. Like, I don't make enough money off of my agents on the high commission splits we pay for me to not sell real estate. That's just the fact. That's the fact for a lot of broker owners. Like, we don't make enough money off of our agents to not still have to sell real estate. But if the brokers out there and that's all they do is they go out there and they run their own real estate business, they ignore all of their agents, then you don't want to work for them. You want to work for a broker that's going to actively participate in your success. And what I mean by that is, if you have a question and want to call them, they're going to call you back within an hour, right? They're going to answer your questions when you have them. They're going to check in with you, especially if you're new. They're going to check in with you every couple of days, to see how it's going. And more importantly, they're going to give you some sort of training, whether it's training that through the franchise that the franchise offers, training that they've created, training that, if they work with a coaching company that their coaching company creates. You should be getting some training and coaching and advice from your broker if you want to be successful in this business. And I've learned the hard way of what not to do in my 20 years in this business. And I can teach you the same thing of what not to do, so you can do the good things that are going to make you successful in a short amount of time. And for example, like I said, I sold 2 houses my first year, a couple of houses the year after that. It took me 6 years until I finally started selling houses. My agents that work for me, the first year they sell real estate, sell about 25 to 30 houses in their first year of the business. So that's the difference between working for a brokerage that doesn't care and working for a broker that does care, right? So you can sell 5 or 10 houses your first year, or you can sell 30 houses your first year, depending on what kind of system you're walking into when you go work for somebody. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that inspires you a little bit. If you've been in the business for a couple of years and you're struggling, just know that's not the end of it, man. If you really want to sell real estate, you can do it. Anybody can sell real estate. I am not a people person at all, right? if anybody that knew me growing up or in my early 20s, first of all, if you told them that I was doing these videos and put them on Facebook, they'd tell you that you're freaking crazy. But I'm not like a people person as far as easily connecting with people on an emotional level, like a lot of realtors are. I am more about the statistics. I love doing marketing. I built my brand off of being very good at marketing on social media, being good at marketing, being good at pricing homes, being good at getting homes sold, and being good at picking up on what the buyer wants and needs. And I've lost a lot of buyer clients over the years because I don't have that emotional connection. That's okay. I can't completely change who I am. So I seek out my ideal client as someone that's going to listen to my technical advice. That's my ideal client, and going to appreciate my technical advice during the process. Because I can give that, I'm not going to hug you after a closing though, right? So I'm not that guy. I am not the real estate agent that's going to hug you after a closing. That's just the fact, right? So, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a people person. You don't have to be all the technology or a numbers-oriented person as far as creating spreadsheets. Anybody can sell real estate. You need to find your niche in the business, and that's what you're going to do. And that's just, it could be first-time buyers, it could be move-up buyers, it could be lake buyers, it could be whatever. Find your niche and be successful at it. Anybody can be successful in this business, trust me. I've seen people from all walks of life that absolutely nail it and kill it in the real estate industry, and you can too. So take that advice and do what you want with it. But if you're struggling, just know that there is a chance that you can actually be successful in this business if you find the right resources and coach and trainer and broker. So have a good one, and thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.